Dinosaur Hunting is a third-person shooter slash third-person RPG released for the original Xbox back in 2003 in Japan and then unfortunately cancelled for the Western release. The game was eventually leaked onto the internet earlier this year and it was developed by Scarab and originally supposed to be published in Western territories by Metro 3D. Metro 3D unfortunately went bankrupt, leaving the game unreleased in Western territories, even though there is various press releases and game copies that got sent out to reviewers back in the early 2000s. The story of Dinosaur Hunting is set in an alternate 20th century. During a tectonic shift, Guyana is cut off from the rest of the world, putting all of the dinosaurs at risk. You are now at task from trying to rescue all of these dinosaurs by tranquilizing them and bringing them back to the rest of the world. You are a part of a national team of hunters and scientists from England, France, Canada and the United States with the task of rescuing all of these ancient dinosaurs before they're all killed.
Are you alright, Malone?
What are you doing here?
When our camp was attacked, Gregory happened to be nearby, and he rescued me.
Gregory Banning, Canadian team.
Although the game is called Dinosaur Hunting, you don't actually kill the dinosaurs in this game, you tranquilize them. Throughout the game world, there is a vast array of different dinosaurs. These can vary from herbivores, carnivores, etc. There is a total of 52 different dinosaurs in this game. Individually, these dinosaurs all have their own set of mannerisms. Some are actually passive towards you, others will try to take you out if you go towards their eggs, and others will just try to gnaw you to death regardless. The weapons in this game vary from your pistol, shotgun and your rifle, and bear in mind these all fire tranquilizing rounds. Throughout the game you get these formulas which will help you stun dinosaurs, making the takedowns much more easily. This is where the game differs from other hunting games. Dinosaur Hunting requires you, the player, to make sure that you are actually taking note of the different formulas. Going in guns blazing trying to take a dinosaur out just by shooting it in the head isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to work your way carefully around each game map. Each different stage has its own set of different obstacles, dinosaurs and particular hazards. While you are scouting the map, you'll find dead dinosaurs, voice plates and other information that will help you carry out your task. You'll find that if you find a dead dinosaur, this will give you some partial information on the formula to use to stun a certain breed of dinosaur. You need to be very careful and make sure that you do not blow all your money on just spending it on ammunition and health packs. You need to actually balance out your inventory to make sure you have enough RGB, the formula that can stun dinosaurs, in your inventory. Regardless of how many shotgun shells, pistol rounds and rifle rounds you've got, you need formula in your inventory, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere in this particular game. It is recommended on your first playthrough to get a good feel of the game. When you first start off you'll get absolutely hammered by some of the dinosaurs. There is a tutorial, but I advise actually playing through this rather than skipping through it. Unlike most games which are fairly basic, this game is actually quite in depth with the way how you need to take out some of the dinosaurs. On my first playthrough I didn't actually play the game as it was intended. I just went through guns blazing and then I started to wonder why I wasn't getting anywhere and getting my ass kicked. The best method to play this game is to be very methodical with the combat, taking out enemies that you only need to take out and then balancing out your inventory, making sure that you've got enough to take out the task at hand and then getting back to your home base. The map system in this game is thankfully very good. You'll find that there's very large areas to explore, each with its own set of different dinosaurs and various hidden pickups. You've also got a time limit for each stage, and this can vary depending on what's happening within the game without giving too much away. You've got to be very productive with your activities in Dinosaur Hunting. You can't take too long and you can't spend all your ammunition, otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked. You've got to be very methodical. In terms of hazards in the map, you'll find that there's dinosaurs just lurking in the bushes, in the various waterfronts, and on some of the cliff faces you'll get dinosaurs trying to take your head off. Some of these experiences are very easy to notice. You can kind of tell when there's a dinosaur poking its head out of a bush, but in other instances where a dinosaur jumps out the water, it can be quite shit scary. There's some genuine jump scares in this game, and it really does get your heart pumping. And this is one of the good things about Dinosaur Hunting. It has a very good atmosphere. The soundtrack is very good, and the sound design of the dinosaurs sounds absolutely spot on. You don't get the impression that they're using stock sound effects. They've actually put a bit of effort into the various different dinosaurs and how they react to yourself during the gameplay. Another great touch to these dinosaurs is the way how they are animated. They move very naturally, and the way how the fat jiggles around the neck is a really nice graphical touch. It's something that you don't really see from games from this particular era. You've also got a little dog called Algo, which will help you on your adventure. He will spot various different dinosaurs that are lurking around the corner and hiding in some bushes. So if you see him run off, there's a reason for it. Try and keep an eye on where he goes to, because he's trying to indicate on what's around the corner. This is very helpful when you can't tell if there's a dinosaur lurking around the corner waiting to attack. The other international hunting teams present in the game, England, France, United States and Canada, will also be present within your game world. You won't see them directly unless it's a cutscene, but they will give you vital information as to where there is some various supplies and where they have spotted some dinosaurs. Make sure that you are keeping an eye on the ticker on the top of the screen, as this will give you information that will help you on your adventure. Your main objective throughout each stage is stated at the start of each mission, or when you press the start button in and go to the main objective, it'll tell you which dinosaur is your main target. You'll also have various sub-objectives, which are some of the larger dinosaurs but not the main priority, which means that if you take them out as well, you'll get a decent wad of cash. Before you come across these main target dinosaurs or the sub-objective dinosaurs, it is always recommended to have a formula in place which is best to subdue these dinosaurs. Otherwise, you'll be going through copious amounts of ammunition. And in terms of this game and how much the ammunition is, it is very extortionate. It is fucking ridiculous how much shotgun shells are in this game. For a couple of shotgun shells in this game, you are going to be spending in the region of 30 grand, which is absolutely ridiculous when you are taking down a dinosaur for 22 grand. You can also spend your money on formulas, which will help you throughout later parts of the game, which is more recommended than just blowing all your money on ammunition. You will actually find more ammunition in the game world than what you can actually buy, which is kind of bizarre. In terms of combat, Dinosaur Hunting is a little bit stilted and awkward. To fire your shotgun, you need to press 3 buttons at once. Your left trigger, your right trigger, and then the X button. And when you're getting surrounded by enemies, you'll find that using your pistol up close is kind of useless in some situations, as the camera is facing completely the wrong direction, even though when you are pressing the left trigger to center the camera, and then left trigger again to lock onto an enemy, and then the right trigger to fire your gun, and then the camera just goes berserk. It doesn't provide enough feedback when you're getting hounded in combat. It's not particularly well thought out, and it's very frustrating at times. Another issue I had with the combat is that you could be right up close to a particular dinosaur with your cursor on top of the dinosaur, and then when you fire a round from your pistol, it just completely misses or doesn't acknowledge a hit, and you just kind of get the impression that there's just very little range on your pistol and your shotgun. Unfortunately, there's also some more frustrating aspects to this game. The difficulty progression. You'll find that there's some really nasty difficulty spikes towards the end of the game, and without spoiling it, you'll be playing through the last couple of levels quite a few times just to complete the game. In terms of using your rifle, this is one of the more satisfying weapons in the game. It's got a lot of kick to it, and you'll find that there's actually some bullet drop and bullet delay implemented in the game as well. Using the weapon from a fair distance away can be fairly difficult at first, but once you get a feel of it, it's very satisfying to use, especially when you've got your formula implemented and you take out a dinosaur with a direct hit and you get a big wad of cash in your pocket. Some of the other dinosaurs can be a little bit quick, so you need to actually judge on where they're going to move next, or if you're actually studying their mannerisms from a fair distance away, be careful on taking one dinosaur out if they're in the pack, because if you take one out, the rest are going to start running for you. In terms of other items, you've also got some flash grenades, which are very useful for when you're being ambushed and for when your pistol doesn't work, along with the really bad camera system. I would always advise you have some flash grenades in your inventory, as these can be a lifesaver when you're being ambushed in the later stages. And when you finish the stage, you'll be finally graded on how fast you completed the stage and your total accuracy. So if you've been firing your weapon around like a right loon, you're not going to get a very good grade. The higher the grade, the more ammunition and other perks that you receive. Graphically, Dinosaur Hunting looks really good for an original Xbox game initially released in 2003. It runs in 480p, doesn't run in widescreen unfortunately, and the frame rate can occasionally drop when there's quite a few enemies on the screen, with a few post-processing effects. In terms of cutscenes, some of them looked totally fine and there was nothing wrong with them. But there was the odd cutscene where it had this bloom effect dialed up all the way up to 11 and it looked bloody awful. I don't know if this was to hide some of the assets that were loading up in the background, but it just looked kinda out of place with the other cutscenes that were totally fine. Another issue that I did have with all of the cutscenes unfortunately is the fact that there's no subtitles and you can't really hear what the bloody hell the characters are saying some of the times. The sound mix is a bit shit, just like if it was a Christopher Nolan film.
I brought this with me from England. It's my balloon, Challenger. It can't fly very high, but it should at least get us up to the Pteranodon's nest.
So you're saying we'll hunt from the air?
I'll pilot the balloon, and you can concentrate on shooting.
We're not gonna share what I catch.
Huh?
As I stated earlier on in this review, this game was supposed to be released in Western territories, receiving a full English translation apparently. Now unfortunately this didn't happen, with Metro 3D going into bankruptcy, and this particular release was touted as being in full English. But I can tell you right now, as you progress into the later parts of the game, you'll find that there's just some bits which are still in Japanese, and I do suspect that this is just still an early version of the game and not the full original English release. A couple of minor criticisms that I do have with this game is the fact that you don't really get a good clear indication of when a dinosaur actually sees you. You've got this little sensor on the bottom end of your screen which looks like a tremor sensor, but it doesn't really give a good indication that you're being attacked or something's noticed you until it starts flashing red. You don't really see a corner vision for these particular dinosaurs, just a red dot on your map or a green dot. In terms of your main character, Malone, you would have thought that you could upgrade him and add armor sets and such to your character. This game cries out for a really good deep RPG system, but unfortunately it's more of an RPG light, with the formula aspect being the main part of the game. In terms of longevity, Dinosaur Hunting actually has a fair bit going for it. The atmosphere is very good, and you can also go back and play some of the previous levels that you've explored. You've also got an option called Open Hunt once you've completed the game, visiting certain maps that you've already been to, and then hunting down some of the dinosaurs that you may have missed, or some of the areas that you didn't have time to actually explore. Overall, Dinosaur Hunting is actually well worth playing, and it's a real shame it didn't get released over here in Western territories. Although now it's mainly a curiosity piece. If you wanted to buy it in person, boxed and complete, you can only obviously get the Japanese version, and this is starting to get a little bit scarce. If you want to import this, it's going to cost you at least £100, and that price is only going to keep going up. If you do want to sit down and fully complete this game, it's going to take you a good couple of days to actually fully see all of that Dinosaur Hunting has to offer. It's actually quite a deep game in terms of how many levels and different dinosaurs it offers. It's just a shame that it doesn't have any more customizable RPG options. So in conclusion, if you can see past the issues with the camera system in close quarters combat, the pistol not actually working up close when there's a dinosaur trying to rip your head off, the audio going to shit in the cutscene department, and the English text not actually being in English when you're getting hints, trying to take out bosses, then you might actually find some enjoyment with Dinosaur Hunting for the Xbox. It's certainly a lot better than that bag of shite that is Dino Crisis 3. In the description box down below, I will link a download for Dinosaur Hunting and how you could play it on the original Xbox. I will also link a YouTube playlist for the soundtrack for this particular game. It's highly recommended, and I think you will enjoy it considering that this game is fairly obscure and the soundtrack is of very high quality. Make sure you have your formula ready and your rifle, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
This must be the dinosaur Dr. Crust was referring to.